Shri Padmatmane Namaham. Namaste devotees and Jai Sita Ram. I'd like to welcome each and every one of you to our Sunday morning satsang this beautiful May 30th, 2021. As always, devotees, before we commence with our service for today, I ask that we all go ahead and take some time. Clasp your hands and close your eyes. As you have your eyes closed, take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, relax your shoulders, straighten your spine. Take some time to use all of your energy, devotees, to focus on a form of Bhagwan that is most pleasing to you, one that helps you concentrate. And join together with me as we chant these opening prayers. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnata Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Ishavasyam Idam Sarvam Yatkincha Jagatyam Jagam Tena Tyaktin Bhunjeta Mangrudhakasya Swidhanam Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Kadavavahe Tejasvina Vadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahe Hari Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. स्वागत सभजन इस मंदिर हो भक्ति की स्वाति की धार सुंदर सुमधुर गान हमार रंजन सब नर नार ईश सगुण निरगुण विनाशी माता पिता रुयार ईश सगुण निरगुण विनाशी माता पिता रुयार तोर भाई हम वास्त सदाही तोर भाई हम वास्त सदाही तार हमें संसार स्वागत सभजन इस मंदिर हो भक्ति की स्वाति की धार सुंदर सुमधुर गान हमार रंजन सब नर नार सनातन धर्म राम राम भावे वेद प्रकाश लेखार सनातन धर्म राम राम भावे वेद प्रकाश लेखार कंद फखंधा होतल खावे कंद फखंधा होतल खावे ज्ञान जगत उजियार स्वागत सभजन इस मंदिर हो भक्ति की स्वाति की धार सुंदर सुमधुर गान हमार रंजन सब नर नार तीर्थ भाया गोद लगावे पुण्य यहाँ परिसार तीर्थ भाया गोद लगावे पुण्य यहाँ परिसार संगति संतन नीम चलावे संगति संतन नीम चलावे शोभन सभा व्यवहार स्वागत सभजन इस मंदिर हो भक्ति की स्वाति की धार सुंदर सुमधुर गान हमार रंजन सब नर नार रंजन सब नर नार रंजन सब नर नार. At this time, devotees, I ask that for all of you who are joining in together with us today, We all clasp our hands and close our eyes as we join together in chanting the most powerful Gayatri Mantra. Om Shiv Akshari Brahmavadini Gayatri Jagat Matare Vishwayoni Namostute Om Bhuri Bhuvaswa Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayata Om Bhuri Bhuvaswa Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayata Om Bhuri Bhuvaswa Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayata. Hari Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Prem Gayatri Mata Ki Jai. As we continue on with our prayers, devotees, we offer obeisances to that remover and destroyer of all obstacles in our life. We offer prayers to Lord Ganesh. Om Jananam Bhuta Ganadi Sevitam Kapita Jambu Palchara Bhakshanam Umasutam Shoka Vinashkarakam Namami Vignesh Varapada Pankajam Om Vakratun Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabham Nirviganam Kurumene Va Sarvakarishu Sarvana Om Raksha Raksha Ganadhaksham Rakshatre Lokya Rakshakar Bhaktanam Bhayam Karta Trata Bhava Bhavaranavar Om Shriman Mahaganadhipade Namam Prem Ganesh Bhagwane Ki Jai. As we continue on with our prayers, devotees, we offer obeisances to that universal mother and that destroyer of all evils in our life. We offer prayers to Adi Shakti and Durga Mata. Om Mahadurgaye Namaham. Om Jayanti Mangala Kali Bhandrakali Kapalini Durgakshma Shiva Dhatri Swaha Sudha Namostute Jetvam Devi Chamunde Jai Budharate Nihardani Jai Sarvagate Devi Kalaratre Namostute Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Vishnu Maiti Shamdita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Bodhi Rupena Samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Lakshmi Rupena Samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Shakti Rupena Samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Shraddha Rupena Samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Shanti Rupena Samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Tushti Rupena Samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Daya Rupena Samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namah. As we pray to Mother Durga, devotees will say, O Durga Mata, Thou art the supporter of all, and we, your children, worship you under many forms, O Ma. We see you as Buddhi, wisdom, Lakshmi, prosperity, Shakti, energy, Shraddha, faith, Shanti, as peace, Tushti, as contentment, and Daya, as compassion, and as we pray to you, O Ma, Namastasye, 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 Namo Namaha. As we pray to you, O Ma, we bow to thee again and again We offer prayers to Mother Durga devotees in the form of that universal mother, Matri Rupe. Ya Devi Sarvam Bhuteshu Matri Rupena Samstita. Namastasye, Namastasye, Namastasye Namo Namah Dehi Saubhagyam Arogyam Dehi Me Paramam Sukham Rupam Nehi Jayam Nehi Yasho Nehi Dashoj Nehi. Om Prem Shiva Shakti Mata Ki Jai. As we continue on with our prayers, we offer obediences to the most influential beings in our life. We offer prayers to the 9 planets, or as we refer to them in Sanatana, the Navgraha Devata. Om Navgraha Devataye Namah. Bharam Ha Muraris Tripura Takari Bhanu Shashi Bhume Suto Bodhascha Guruscha Shukraha Shanirahu Keto Sarvengraha Shanti Parabhavantu Sarvengraha Shanti Parabhavantu. As we continue on with our prayers, devotees, we offer obediences to that being who exists in the form of the sun and that sustainer of all things on this earth, all life on this planet. We offer prayers to Surya Narayan Bhagavan. Om Suryaya Namah 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 Adine Namaskubhyam Prasinham Mama Bhashkaram Devakara Namaskubhyam Prabhakara Namaskubhyam Suryaya Namah Suryaya Namah Suryaya Namah Suryaya Namah. Om Prem Shiva Navgraha Devata Ki Jai. Prem Shiva Surya Narayana Bhagavan Ki Jai. At this time, devotees, I ask that we join together now as we offer prayers to that sustainer of all things dharmic and all things righteous in this universe. We offer prayers to Lord Vishnu. Om Shantakaram Bhujagshayanam Padmanabham Surisham Vishwadharam Gaganim Sadrisham Megavaranam Shubhagam. Om Lakshmi Kantam Kamalanayanam Yogi Bhiradhyana Gamyam Vande Vishnu Bhavamaya Haram Sarvaloke Ganatam. Om Sashankha Chakram Sakirita Kundhalam Sapita Vastram Sarasirunekshana Sahara Vakshastal Shobhikostu Bhashriyam Namami Vishnu Shirasa Chaturabhujam Namami Vishnu Shirasa Chaturabhujam. Prem se bolo Vishnu Bhagwan Ki Jai. And finally, devotees, we offer prayers to that universal Father and that universal Guru. We offer prayers that are destroy of all evils in our life and in this universe. We join together as we offer prayers to Lord Shiva. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Karpooram Gauram Karunavataram Samsara Saram Bhujagindraharam Sada Santam Hirdayardavinde Bhavam Bhavani Sahitam Namami भवं भवानी सहितं नमामि। ॐ नमः शिवाय। ब्रह्ममुरारिसुरार्चितलिङ्गं निरमर्वासितशोभितलिङ्गं जनमजदुःखविनाशकलिङ्गं तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गं तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गं देवमुनिप्रवर्चितलिङ्गं कामदहं करुणाकरलिङ्गं रावणदर्प विनाशनलिङ्गं तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गं तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गं सर्वसुगन्धिसुलेपितलिङ्गं मुनिविवर्धनकारणलिङ्गं सिंहसुरासुरवन्दितलिङ्गं तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गं कनकमहामणिभूषितलिङ्गं मणिपतिवेष्टितशोभितलिङ्गं दक्षसूयज्ञविनाशनलिङ्गं तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गं कुङ्कुमचन्दनलेपितलिङ्गं पङ्कजहारसुशोभितलिङ्गं संशितपापविनाशनलिङ्गं प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गं देवगणार्चितसेवितलिङ्गं भावभक्तिवीरे वचलिङ्गं दिनकरकोटिप्रभाकरलिङ्गं तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम् अष्टदलोपरिवेष्टितलिङ्गं सर्वसबोधभवकारणलिङ्गम् अष्टधरेन्द्रविनाशितलिङ्गं तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गं तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गं तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम् लिङ्गष्टकम् इदं पुण्यं यः पतेत् शिवसन्निधौ शिवलोकमवाप्नोति शिवेन समोदति। ॐ नमः शिवाय। Devotees, we offer this next prayer for all those suffering from various illnesses, diseases, injuries, and ailments. We ask that they may have a fast, speedy, and full recovery. We also offer prayer for those transitioning from this world to the next. May their passage be a smooth and tranquil. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarokamiva Bandhanat Mrityurmukshyo Mamrutat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarokamiva Bandhanat Mrityurmukshyo Mamrutat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarokamiva Bandhanat Mrityurmukshyo Mamrutat. Om Ganganapate Namaha. Om Kartikeya Namaha. Om Nandishwaraya Namaha. Om Vasukiya Namaha. Om Shri Samsarha Shivaya Namaha. Prem se bolo Shiva Shakti Mandir ki jai. Devotees, before we continue on with our virtual satsang for today, I want to take some time to thank Gita Samal again. Gita recorded a bhajan and sent it in for us to listen to listen to live here on our virtual Sunday morning service. So we'll tune over, listen to that beautiful bhajan, and then we'll come right back.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Jagma Guaide Angana. Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Jagma Guaide Angana. Jand Surat se tare, Jogi Jarano me zare, आज झूम झूम गाए जमुना. कृष्ण कृष्ण आए कृष्ण जगमगुआए अंगना. जय हो यशोर मैया जी, जय जय कृष्ण कन्हैया जी. जय हो यशोर मैया जी, जय जय कृष्ण कन्हैया जी. नैन जाइए राधा जी के, मीरा कमन मधुआरा. कण कण में फिर नंद के लारा, वो जुड़े गनवारा. जय हो यशोर मैया जी, जय जय कृष्ण कन्हैया जी. जय हो यशोर मैया जी, जय जय कृष्ण कन्हैया जी. कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण जगमगुआरे अंगना. मांगन क्या इधर द्वार पे आकर, आंचल क्या पैराना. तेरे मन में क्या है उसने, बिन मंगे सब जाना. जय हो यशोर मैया जी, जय जय कृष्ण कन्हैया जी. जय हो यशोर मैया जी, जय जय कृष्ण कन्हैया जी. कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण जगमगुआरे अंगना. आज में सज की जीत हुई है, झूठा में इशारा. चक्र की हाथ में तूने, बदल समय की तारा. जय हो यशोर मैया जी, जय जय कृष्ण कन्हैया जी. जय हो यशोर मैया जी, जय जय कृष्ण कन्हैया जी. कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण जगमगुआरे अंगना. कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण जगमगुआरे अंगना. आज चांद सूरज से तारे, जोगी चरणों में तारे. आज झूम झूम गए जमुना. कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण जगमगुआरे अंगना. जय हो यशोर मैया जी, जय जय कृष्ण कन्हैया जी. जय हो यशोर मैया जी, जय जय कृष्ण कन्हैया जी. जय हो यशोर मैया जी, जय जय कृष्ण कन्हैया जी. जय हो यशोर मैया जी, जय जय कृष्ण कन्हैया जी. जय हो यशोर मैया जी, जय जय कृष्ण कन्हैया जी.
Once again, I want to thank you, Gita, for recording that beautiful bhajan and sending it in for us to listen to. Devotees, for anybody else who would have a song or anything you'd like to say to our congregation during our virtual Sunday morning satsang, please do record those and send them in. You can do it as easily as just by recording something with the voice memo app on your iPhone if you have an iPhone. If you have an Android, you could use your Android as well. I don't know what exactly the name of the app is. And just send it in. Doesn't matter what the format is. I'll be able to edit it and we can place it and put it live and play it for everybody to listen to to on our virtual Sunday morning satsang. So again, thank you so much, Gita. We really appreciate all the effort that you've taken to send us all of those beautiful bhajans that you've been recording. Devotees, before we move on and continue on with our sermon for today, I'd like for us to join together, and for those of us who have a guru, as we offer prayer to our guru. If not, then I ask you take Lord Shiva or any other form of Bhagwan in your mind that you can worship on as a universal guru as we join together in prayer. Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Deo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guru Namah. Om Dhyana Moolam Guru Murati Puja Moolam Guru Param Mantra Moolam Guru Bhakyam Moksha Moolam Guru Kripat Prem Se Guru Guru Deo Ki Jai. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama 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 Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Devotees, during our last time when we had met, we had finished chapter 14 of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And just to note that in chapter 14, that is known as the Guna Traya Vibhaga Yoga, or the yoga or understanding of the three modes of material nature: Sattva Guna, Tama Guna, and Raja Guna. And we had finished chapter 14, in which Bhagavan Shri Krishna had explained all three of the gunas, and he says that one who is able to understand these three gunas, who can live above and beyond these three gunas, three natures, that person is the one who will attain moksha, who will attain salvation, who will be detached from this physical world. And so he ended chapter 14 by saying, if you can do that, you will attain my supreme abode and you can attain me. But then by finishing devotees, he has to move on and talk about another point. So he leads us into chapter 15, in which he talks about Purushottama Yoga, which is yoga through understanding of the supreme person. Now understand the title of that chapter. Yoga through the understanding of the supreme person. And when we think about the supreme person, we think about the supreme. I would think supreme person means that supreme divine being who's created this world that we reside in. But understand that he says supreme person. Bhagwan isn't necessarily a person. Bhagwan is unmanifest. Bhagwan doesn't have a form. So therefore Bhagwan isn't a person. So what does that chapter title mean? What does it mean by supreme person? And we start off in chapter 15 with Bhagwan Shri Krishna giving Arjuna an analogy. He tells Arjuna that life is like a tree. Life is like a tree. And what is this tree? Bhagwan Shri Krishna tells Arjuna, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Bhagavan Uvacha, Urdhva Moolam Adhasakam, Aswattam Prahurayayam, Chandhamsi yasya parnani yastam veda savedhavit adhaskurvam prarastasya sakanguna pravirchavisya pravala adhaschamulanya anusamtatani karmanubhanhini Manusaloke Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. It's a very detailed explanation. These verses 1 through 5, Bhagwan Shri Krishna is stating in Sanskrit very, very specifically and very thoroughly. It's very long verses. It is said that there is one imperishable banyan tree. So this is what Bhagwan Shri Krishna is saying. There's a banyan tree, and it has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are Vedic hymns. So I want you to try picturing a tree whose branches come straight down, but whose roots come straight up. Kind of the opposite of a tree. In a tree, you typically have the trunk, the branches either come straight out, maybe they droop a little bit or go up, and then the roots go down. They go with gravity. They hold themselves into the earth. But what Bhagwan Shri Krishna here is saying is that there's this tree, and its roots go upwards, but the branches go down. And the leaves of those branches are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. The branches of this tree extend downward, and again, they also go upward. They're nourished by the three modes of material nature. The twigs are the objects of the senses, and the tree has roots that also go down instead of up. And these roots are what bound the tree to the fruitive action of human society. So this tree is a representation of life, is what Bhagwan Shri Krishna is saying. It is a tree that serves a purpose, but is also different from what we expect. Because again, you expect a tree to have branches that are straight, maybe droop down a little bit, then go straight down, and roots that go down into the earth, not come up and then come back down. Yeah, maybe a little bit of wiggling from a tree, but it's a little different in its nature. He says that these branches go down and sometimes they go up, and they're nourished by the three modes of material nature. How is a branch for a tree shaped? How is a branch for a tree shaped? How is any plant in this world shaped? Usually, if you let that plant grow on its own, if you don't interfere in any way, shape, or form, it'll take on a shape or form of its own, without any interference. However, sometimes we tend to put our hands into that plant and put, metal rods inside, we tape it along, and we set it up so that it grows successfully. My mom and dad have a Bolo plant. Well, I don't know if they still have it right now. I don't think they have it right now. Maybe it's in the backyard. I don't know. But that Bolo plant needs some sort of scaffolding, some sort of route to grow on. So what have my parents done? They built, well, I shouldn't say they built. They took a piecing of fence and they cut it, and they're allowing the Bolo to grow along that piece of fence. So now the Bolo can hang down and grow successfully as it needs to. So it's been shaped, and it's been formed, and it's been guided and assisted to grow in its best way possible. We will tend to different kinds of plants in different ways, shape them in different ways, and get different results based off the plant. So as it is with life. The branches on this tree are shaped by those three gunas, those three attributes, which is happiness, which is passion, and which is ignorance. The way we shape our lives, the way we shape the branches of this tree are based off those three modes. Whether they go down, whether they go up, or whether they interfere with each other or not. That's based off the modes of material nature. The twigs that come out from those branches, those little twigs are the objects of senses. Based off the nature that we live, it's the object that we will gain from that specific sense. So if we live a life filled with passion, those twigs will be more related to taste and touch because we get derive pleasure from those. But then there's something that we have in the mind that will help us detach from those as well. And then he says it also has roots going down, and these roots bind the tree or bind us to fruitive action of human society. So think of what a root does. A root not only provides nourishment for the tree, but it holds the tree, it grounds the tree, it keeps it in place. But in this sense, devotees, what Bhagwan is trying to say is that the tree is meant to have roots that grow upward to lift us away and detach us from the world. But sometimes the way we're formed and shape our nature drives those roots down and keeps us attached to this world. It keeps us attached to these different things that give us stress, that cause disease, that causes anxiety, that cause issues. So there's this tree, this metaphysical tree. In verse 1 and 2, Bhagwan Shri Krishna tells you about this tree and it has so much meaning. But he goes on to explain a little bit more about the tree and what the metaphysical form of the tree is. We talked about the physical form, but what is this metaphysical form? In verses 3, 4, and 5, Bhagwan Shri Krishna tells Arjuna, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Narupam Asehat Atufalam Bhaiti Nato Nachadirna Cha Sampratishta Aswatam Enam Suvirudham Mulam Asan Kasastrena Drina Chitta Tatha Padam Tatparimaran Kitavyam Yasmin Gatani Naratanti Bhoya Tam Iva Chadyam Purusam Prabhye Yata Pravirti Prasrita Purani Niramana Mohajita Sangradosa Adhyatamanita Vinivita Kama Dvanvera Vimukta Sukha Dukha Samjner Bhachjaya Amodha Bhadam Avyayam Tat Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Bhagavan Shri Krishna tells Arjuna in verses 3, 4, and 5, the real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. So I tried to describe a tree to you. The tree that has a trunk, but it has branches that grow down and sometimes that grow up, with roots that go up but sometimes go down. So what you probably have in your mind is probably this long log with a bunch of branches and things that go everywhere all over the place. But what Bhagavan is saying is that the form of this tree, it can't be perceived in this real world. This is just an analogy. This is something I'm sharing with you to help you understand what I'm trying to tell you, O Arjuna. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, or where its foundation is. You know, sometimes when you look at a tree, you're able to probably pull it out and see where it starts and where it ends. In this case, you can't see it. You don't know where it ends, you don't know where it begins, you don't know where the foundation is. It's kind of like a Shiva Lingam. It has no beginning, it has no end, it has no middle. It's infinite in form. With determination, one must cut down this strongly rooted tree with the weapon of detachment. Thereafter, one must seek that place from which, having gone, no one ever returns, and there surrender to that supreme personality of Bhagwan, from whom everything began, and from whom everything has extended since time immemorial. So there's this metaphysical tree that bounds us to this world, devotees. The roots that are in that tree are what hold us and keep us grounded to this material world. Typically, those roots are formed of Tama and Rajaguna. Things that are ignorance and things that hold passion in our lives. Sometimes they're also sattva guna, because we look for goodness, and because we're so stuck on holding for goodness, we stay stuck to this material world. In order for us to remove this tree, this metaphysical tree, we have to deroot it, and take it out with the weapon of detachment. We have to detach from our senses, detach from the modes of material nature. And once you do that, you can seek that place, which once you go, you can never return. That place is moksha. I know it sounds terrifying. If I leave this plane, I can't come back to this plane, but that's the purpose of what we would deem as heaven, devotees. You hear that word heaven all the time. It's a humble abode in which there's no pain, there's no suffering, there's no ignorance, there's nothing that keeps us held there. It's a place of enlightenment, a place of freedom, a place of light. Those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with the material lust, who are freed from the dualities of happiness and distress, and who, unbewildered, know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, attain that eternal kingdom. There's a quote in the Bhagavad Gita that we go to and talk about all the time, and it says, a person, no matter how evil they seem at the time of death, if they focus on Bhagwan, will achieve Bhagwan. But that's just one piece of a larger puzzle. And the reason that is because you have to be able to detach. Even if you just devote yourself to Bhagwan, understand Bhagwan is that one true form, that one true savior, that one true realization. That doesn't mean you'll attain it. It doesn't mean you'll attain it. If you understand that energy equals mass times the speed of light squared, that doesn't mean you're going to have infinite energy all the time. You just know the equation. You've got to practice it now. So you have to be free from false prestige, free from illusion, and free from false association. You have to understand the eternal, you have to be done with material lust, and you have to be freed from the dualities of happiness and distress. Now, a lot of us really want to remove distress from our lives. That's a key goal that a lot of us has. We don't want to be stressed. We don't want to have to deal with A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Those family problems we have, those work problems we may have, those house problems we may have. We want to be free from distress, but how many of us want to be freed from happiness? That's the catch-22. Freeing yourself from distress does not mean that you should seek more happiness in this case. What Bhagwan Shri Krishna is saying is that you have to be free from those dualities. You have to understand that you have to live life in the middle. That you can indulge in happiness, but you can't suffer from distress. You have to be unbewildered. And then once you know how to surrender onto that Supreme Person, once you know how to sacrifice your emotions and the things around you, once you understand how to let go, you can reach that eternal kingdom. So, easy, right? I'm not going to be happy, nor am I going to be sad. It's just very hard because I've been very happy today, with the exception of one time in one meeting in which I was distressed. So those dualities for me still exist. I honestly can't attain that Supreme Person because I can't surrender to that Supreme Person, because I can't focus on that Supreme Person. I can't focus on that form of Bhagwan that helps me attain my moksha because I'm still too grounded to this material world. So that's what Bhagwan Shri Krishna is saying. We have this tree in our lives. This tree is a barrier to us and it keeps us rooted to this physical world. We have to use our weapons of detachment, which is removing ourselves from happiness to stress, from everything in this physical world, and attain moksha. So focus on that Supreme Person. Again, remember, being a person who goes to mandir and sitting down and praying does not guarantee you moksha. It does not even make you a good person necessarily. It just means that at that point in time, depending on what you're doing when you come to mandir, means that you're probably still grounded to this world. Whether you're asking God to remove some stress in your life, whether you're asking God to bless other people, whether you're coming to mandir to just say that you came to mandir, or whether you go to church, doesn't matter what your religion is. We do good just because it serves the purpose of, fulfilling a sustained physical plane, right? But we shouldn't do it for the accolades. We shouldn't do it for the benefits we gain. We need to perform our actions without being too attached to the world. So he says, if you understand that Supreme Person, if you detach yourself, you'll attain my abode. He says a little bit more though. What is this abode? And what are living entities in this world conditioned with that keep them here? In verses 6 and 7, Bhagwan Shri Krishna tells Arjuna, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Nathanabha Sayate Suryo, Na Sasanko Na Pavaka, Yan Gatvana Nivartante, Tad Dhamma Paramam Mama, Mame Amsa Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhut Sanatana, Manasastani Indriyani, Prakristani Karasati, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Bhagwan Shri Krishna says to Arjuna in verse 6, the supreme abode of mind is not illuminated by the sun nor the moon. It's not filled with fire or electricity. Those who reach it never return to this material world. The living entities in this world are conditioned by the eternal fragment parts. They are conditioned in life because they are struggling hard with the six senses. So literal translation, living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmented parts. They're all pieces of me. Everybody's a piece of me. Those who, due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses. Now, it's weird because he talks about the supreme abode, which is neither illuminated by the sun or the moon, doesn't have fire or electricity, and once you get there, you never have to return. And the reason you never have to return is because imagine a place that doesn't have the sun or the moon, fire, electricity. You think that that would be a place that is a little incomprehensible, in which the physics are defied, but it's a place in which those things aren't needed. We don't need the sun for the warmth, the moon for its beauty. We don't need the fire for its heat, nor the electricity to sustain the things around us. Because in that supreme abode, everything is eternal, everything is absolute, everything is constant, everything is perfect. So we don't need those things to maintain us, our bodies, and everything that lives there. But he says that every living entity in this world is a fragment of me, and they are struggling with 6 senses. 6 senses. How many senses do we have? Because when I first saw that, I was like, wait a minute, 6 senses? Well, we know that taste is a sense, smelling is a sense, sight is a sense, hearing is a sense, and touch is a sense. So how many senses does that count? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 total senses. So he says that we are struggling very hard with the 6 senses. But then he goes on to say that the 6th sense that we have as humans is our mind. Bhagwan Shri Krishna includes the mind as a sense. And why does he include the mind as a sense? Why does it make sense that the mind is a sense? Have you ever had an intuition or feeling about something that's going to happen, even though it hasn't happened yet? What do we call that in this world? We call that a 6th sense. Sometimes it's rationality taking over for us. Sometimes it's common sense. Sometimes it's critical thinking. But sometimes it's something more than what we can actually describe or say. And we call that the 6th sense. Our senses, the 5 that we have, taste, scent, sight, hearing, and touch, those are all controlled by our mind, that eternal 6th sense. So he says that we as living beings are conditioned to struggle in life because of our 6 senses. What causes us to want to smell something or look at something or hear something? Our mind. And that's why our mind, Bhagwan is saying, is our 6th sense. Because it's what controls us, but it's also what causes us to struggle. Because it's what causes us to lose control of our senses. Our mind will cause us to lose control. Sometimes our senses causes us to lose control of our mind, but sometimes our mind causes us to lose control of our senses. If you've ever had a panic attack or an anxiety attack, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Your mind overcomes every single nerve ending in your body. You can't see. You feel like you're smelling through your eyes and you're crying through your nose. So our 6th sense causes us to struggle, as well as the rest of our 5 senses. They work together to cause struggle, to cause us attachment to this physical world. He goes on to explain further in verses 8 and 9 about these 6 senses. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Sariram Yad Avapnoti, Ayachap Pranani Swara, Grihitvetani Samyati, Vayur Gandhan Eva Sayat, Shrotram Chakshus Parasanam Cha, Rasanam Ghanam Eva Cha, Adhistaya Manaschayam, Vishayam Upasevati, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Our 6 senses causes struggle, and he says that the living entity in the material world carries the different conceptions of life from one body to another as the air carries aroma. Thus, he takes on a kind of body and again quits to take another. The living entity thus takes another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects. So we get so attached to this world because of the sense objects, because of our sense objects and how our sense objects lead us to this world. And as we move from one life to the next and leave that previous life behind, we carry those senses with us and they keep us rooted to this world. it keeps us rooted to this world. Our mind is one of the strongest of the senses, devotees. Our mind is one of the strongest of the roots. You all see that trees have multiple roots. They have thin ones and they have very thick ones. You cut one of those thick roots, you remove that thick root, and the tree itself will die. It'll go away. Our mind is that thick root. Our mind is that thick root. I can live without my hearing. I can live without my sight. I can live without my nose. I can live, without smelling. I can live without tasting. I can live without touching. I can even live without my hands, but I can't live without my mind. So if we don't control the mind, the greatest of the roots, if we lose control of all 5 senses, the other roots, we continue to move from one life to the next, and every time we manifest on this world, we have a material nature that's formed because of those senses. Our karma comes along with us, our actions come along with us, and because of the way the world works and the way we are attached, we continue to fill this cycle of births and deaths over and over and over again. So if you're not free, devotees, if you don't use your weapon of detachment to remove this tree of attachment to from the world, you'll be stuck in this cycle of births and deaths. Even in the quote itself, verse 9, Bhagavan Shri Krishna says, the living entity thus taking another gross body. How many of us want to describe our bodies as gross? Nobody does. But he's saying that as we move from life to life to life, we still take form in what we deem as a physical form, a gross body. We need to attain the metaphysical, not the physical. That's the whole point of this chapter, attaining the Supreme Person. And who is the Supreme Person? How do we attain the Supreme Person? So Bhagavan Shri Krishna will end with this on verse 10. He looks at Arjuna after describing this tree, this amount of senses, the 6 senses, how we move from life to life. And he tells Arjuna in verse 10, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, 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 Utkramantam Stitam Vapi, Bhunjhanam Vagunanvitam, Vimudhananu Pasyanti Jnana Chaksusha, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Bhagavan Shri Krishna says that there's something you need to know. It's something that foolish people can't understand, and it's only something that knowledgeable people know. He says that foolish people cannot understand something that we're going to talk about next Sunday during our regular Sunday morning satsang. Prem se bolo Krishna Chandra Bhagwan ki jai. At this time, devotees, ask that you join together with me as we do for our regular Sunday morning satsangs. Go ahead and clasp your hands and close your eyes. I know it was a very energetic sermon, but go ahead and clasp your hands and close your eyes. Take some time to relax. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, drop your shoulders, straighten your spine, relax your neck, relax your forehead. While your eyes are closed, devotees, take some time to focus on a form of Bhagwan that's most pleasing to you. And join together with me as we chant these closing prayers. Om Sarvesham Swasti Bhavatu, Sarvesham Shanti Bhavatu, Sarvesham Purunam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu, Om Sarve Sukhino Bhavantu, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit Dugabhang Bhavet, Om Mantrahinam Kriyahinam, Bhaktihinam Janardanam, Yatya Pujitam Maya Deva Paripurnam Tadastu Me. Papu papu karma papu atma papu sambhava trahim ambudari kaksham sarva papu haro hari. Om tvameva matascha pitha tvameva bandhuscha sakha tvameva Tvameva Vidyan Dravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Om Satoma Sargamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityoma Mritam Gamaya Hari Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Reo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Om Shanti Antariksham Om Shanti Prithvi Shanti Rapa Shanti Aushadhe Shanti Vanispati Shanti Vishwaneva Shanti Brahma Shanti Sarveng Om Shanti Shanti Reva Shanti Sama Shanti Re Om Shanti शांति शांति हरि ओम तत्सत। प्रेम से बोलो गणेश भगवान की जय, प्रेम से बोलो आदि शक्ति दुर्गा माता की जय, प्रेम से बोलो नवग्रह देवता की जय, प्रेम से बोलो विष्णु भगवान की जय, प्रेम से बोलो शिव शंकर भगवान की जय, प्रेम से बोलो शिव शक्ति मंदिर की जय, प्रेम से बोलो सनातन धर्म की जय। Devotees, with this, we have come to the end of our Sunday morning satsang, and I'd like to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. As some of you have noticed, this isn't actually a live virtual satsang. I pre-recorded this and I did upload it for our 10 o'clock time frame, which would be on Sunday, May 30th. But we do have a few announcements that we'd like to share. And again, I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in and continuously supporting the Shiva Shakti Mandir and our virtual Sunday morning satsangs. One thing that we want to talk about this weekend, especially here in America, this weekend, even though I know a lot of folks are taking Monday off and probably barbecuing and doing different things, is what that day means. And it is Memorial Day. It's a time for remembering our military heroes for their sacrifices in keeping the safety of our nation, and also to all the spouses who have given so much. Coming from a military family, I know what that sacrifice looks like in the form of having to watch my father leave to go off for months at a time to serve this country, to make sure that I could live a better life, not only just for the family, but for those around us. And I watched so many other military families sacrifice so much for the service of their countries. Some have even sacrificed loved ones, and some have left and have not ever come back. And to those who are out there, to those who have served in our armed forces, we want to thank you so much for everything that you've done for us, for our freedoms, and for our ability to live freely, and for me to be able to sit here and have my religious freedom and be able to preach as I need to. Special shout out to my father and my mother for the services they perform, to Uncle Rajan and Auntie Zandra as well for their sacrifices. I know Auntie Zandra and Uncle Rajan watch all the time. Uncle Rajan is the one who actually shaved my head. He's been with our family since the very beginning. They're like second parents to me, and they've sacrificed so much in their service for this country. And to all the other armed forces who are part of our community, not part of our community, thank you for all that you do, and happy Memorial Day to all. Please remember those who are out there. To all the graduates who are graduating this month, congratulations. A lot of you I know are graduating this weekend or sometime next week. You did it. You've finished this phase of your life and you're moving on to the next one. I'm not going to talk about the next phase of your life. What's important is that you understand that you've accomplished something wonderful and amazing, and that can't be said by everybody. You focused, you've worked hard, and you're moving on to the next stage of life. So for all the hard work you've done, for your dedication, for your passion, for your commitment, I say congratulations to you. Congratulations to all the graduates. We are all so very proud of you. And if there's anything you ever need from us, especially going into the next future and to the next phase of life, you're more than welcome to reach out to any of us. Let us know. But congratulations to all of you. Some birthdays that we want to announce in celebration. I know we haven't announced some in a few weeks. We want to wish Auntie Jane a very happy birthday. To young Jack, who was born and pretty much comes to Mandir, and always, every time Prem Bolo Sanatana Dharma ki, Jack goes Jay as loud as possible. To our loudest and most spiritual member, Jack, happy birthday to you. To young Erica, happy birthday to you as well. To Ashana, to Uncle Sham, and to Kamini, happy birthday to every single one of you. I apologize for not being able to announce those on our prior services, but we hope you all had a very happy and wonderful birthday. And again, on behalf of the Shiv Shakti Mandir and our executive board, happy happy birthday to all of you. And two very special people in my life. One of them who I love to bug a lot, and one who I have good times with. To my sister and to my Dabbit, or my brother-in-law, to Sue and Sunny, about, 7 years ago, give or take, 7 years, right? They joined together in marriage, and so to the both of you, very, very happy anniversary on behalf of the board and everybody else. Happy anniversary to you both. With that being said, devotees, I have no other announcements. I know it's a long weekend. I hope you all stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy. We will reconvene for our virtual Sunday morning satsangs next Sunday, but until then, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for your support. Have a wonderful week, and Jai Sita Ram.